I hate the way Americans...
I hate it when Americans...
I hate it when Americans...
I hate Americans.
Oh! Super petty British people. Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
We're a couple of digital nomads who have been wandering around the world for over 3 years, and we make videos about travel and culture.
If either of those topics interests you, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon so that you can get notified every time we release a new video.
Today we are going to be responding to a compilation of quotes from British people that BuzzFeed has compiled into a big list called 21 Things British People Hate About Americans. Feel nervous?
I do feel nervous.
You're on the spot.
What are they gonna say about us?
We don't want people to hate us, so we're gonna dive into this pile of angst and see what it is about Americans that upsets the Brits. Are you ready?
Not really, but ready or not, here we go! I hate that Americans spell things like traveling and canceling with one L. Like, no. Stop. That looks so dumb.
So right out the gate, the Brits come swinging, hating on American English. And I get it. There's a lot there to hate because English is a pretty confusing language.
Yeah, it's full of inconsistencies, whether you speak British English or American English.
About this specific issue, I'm not too sure why Americans spell some things with one less L than British people do. It probably has something to do with Noah Webster and how spelling got standardized way back in the day. But I do know that it goes both ways, and there are a lot of words that Americans spell with 2 L's that Brits spell with 1 L.
For example, the words skillful, enrollment, and install are all words that in American English we spell with 2 L's, whereas the Brits only have 1 L.
So there's a difference.
It does go both ways.
Yeah.
You guys drop the L's too.
I hate how Americans call it 9/11 when it's really 11/9. Wow. Ooh, that kind of gets my blood going a little bit. So first off, it's pretty rude of this person to use 9/11 as their example, but if you're actually curious about why Americans write dates differently than Brits do, the reason is because we say them differently. For example, in America, I would say today is April 4th, 2020. Whereas if I was in the UK, I would say today is the 4th of April, 2020. So the way you write dates and the way we write dates just matches the way we say them.
Also, is this really a thing to hate? Is it really, like, of all the things you could hate, you're like, I hate this! It's a little petty of you. Blurred out username. I still hate how Americans call trousers pants. It's wrong. I hate how you forgot an apostrophe. Ikio. I know in the UK you guys call underwear pants. So I can see where that would be a little bit confusing. If you go to America and they're like, where are my pants? It means something completely different than if you were in the UK and they were like, where are my pants? We do use the word trousers in America.
One way to think about it is that pants is, in the United States, pants is the all-encompassing word for full length.
For bottoms.
Yeah, for
what you wear on your
leg
downer half.
So we got pants, and then we've got trousers and jeans and khakis. I hate the way Americans omit the U from flavor and color. The cents? Is he calling us pennies?
That's not a very nice thing to say.
Yeah.
I don't feel very good about this person.
His name's Matt.
Matt, you bastard.
So the reason why American English omits a lot of the U's is because our English was standardized after America and the UK went 2 separate ways. We were our own country, you guys were separate by this point, and before this time, people didn't really care how things were spelled. So, you know, people had O's and U's all over the place, both in the UK and in America. But in the late 1700s, early 1800s, English started getting standardized, and one of the guys to do this was Noah Webster, and he released several American English dictionaries in which he laid out what he considered to be the standard spelling for words going forward. And these words did omit a lot of the U's because what he was trying to do was to make English easier for the people. So with the letters that aren't pronounced, he was like, heck, why is this in here? Let's get that out. It was in an effort to make English easier for people to write and understand, and yeah.
Otherwise, we still might be, you know, closer to French spellings with a lot of things, where the word is like this long, but then you say it and it's like
with 15 silent letters.
It's one syllable with 27 silent letters. It's a bit of an exaggeration.
And Noah Webster didn't succeed entirely, of course, as there are still plenty of silent letters in American English.
I hate it when Americans say, way to go.
Good job!
This is a very dad-like thing to say, though, I feel like. Way to go!
Stereotypical American dad.
Yeah, cheering his kid on.
Way to go! Way to go! Good job! Good job!
I think this has to do with American optimism, though, a little bit. Americans are very verbally encouraging, I feel like. Because they have a lot of like, you can do it! Way to go! I almost said fighting, but that is not American.
No, that's a Koreanism.
That's a Koreanism, of course.
Fighting!
Fighting! I hate that Americans can get stuff for $1 because that's only 60p. We get stuff for £1, but that's $1.67. Unfair. I'm not sure that this poster understands that this means the pound is actually stronger than the dollar. So this is not something to hate. This is something to be glad about.
Yeah, this just means that when you travel, the world is cheaper for you than it is for us. You should be proud about this. I hate the way Americans pronounce zeitgeist.
I didn't actually know there was another way to pronounce it. If
Me
you
neither.
are from the UK, how do you pronounce this word?
Yeah, I've only ever heard zeitgeist. So, do you guys say zitgeist? Giest? Zutgeist?
This is just sounding worse and worse.
I hate the way Americans say genuine, root, and herb.
The way that you say root is dependent on where you're from in the United States. So there's either root or route. I usually say root.
I have only ever said root.
I'm not sure which one she's hating on here, whether she's hating on root or route as the American way, because we say it both ways depending on where you come from in the United States.
And genuine is interesting too, because what she's saying is that it should be pronounced genuine, because of the silent E and how that makes the preceding vowel say its name, so genuine. She has a point there. But I think in this case, she would also have to hate every British city ending in the word shire. So, yeah, there's a little bit of inconsistency there in your hating, Rumana. And I've got some things to say about the word herb. Now, you might be surprised to hear this, but in the history of English, American English is actually a lot more stable in its pronunciation than British English is. So there are a lot of English words which Americans have been pronouncing basically the same way for 200 years. This cannot be said about British English, which has changed in pronunciation quite a bit over the last few hundred years. And when it comes to the word herb, or as you say, herb, I believe I heard this explanation in Bill Bryson's book, Made in America. That is actually a French imported word which came into English when the Saxons invaded what is now the UK.
And if you know something about the French language, they do not pronounce the ash or the h or the h. They really don't like their h's, and so they would pronounce herb as herb and not herb.
Other examples of this include heir, herbivore, hour, which are French words that came into English, and that's why we don't pronounce the h's in those words either.
Unless you guys do say hair. Please say hair. I really want somebody to say it that way. I need a hair.
Who is the Queen's hair?
And I feel like of all the things you could pick on, you should not pick on the English language because it is full of inconsistencies. So if you're gonna be like, I hate the way American English does this or that, it's not really gonna work for you because British people do the same thing. Like you don't say hour instead of hour.
Yeah, very likely if there's something you hate about American English, that same thing is present in the English that you yourself are currently speaking. And when it comes to the word herb, pronouncing the H as in herb only became mainstream around the 19th century, so that is a very recent addition to British English. So Rumana, if you're watching, it's okay if you hate the way we pronounce the word herb just because you're petty, but if you hate it because you think that Americans have bastardized the English language and are messing up true English, then I hate to tell you, you're wrong.
Why can't Americans just use the same words as us? I hate telling someone I feel sick and they think I have flu. No, I just might chunder.
Liam, you do know that the word chunder is Australian, right?
He's just like an Aussie, but he accidentally sent it to the wrong thread or something.
This was supposed to be, he's like, oh, this is things Australians hate about Americans, right?
I do think this one is pretty petty because there are a lot of countries around the world that have English as their dominant language, and they definitely do not use the same words as English speakers in the UK do. Americans don't use the same words, Canadians don't use the same words as people from the United States, and South Africans also don't use the same words. So language is very fluid, it changes often, and expecting it to remain the same even though cultures are very different is just a little bit unreasonable.
That's a really good point. Yeah, language is all about making yourself understood in whatever culture you're in. So in the UK, when you're speaking British English, you should be using the words which are common there and the things which will promote clarity in your communication. But if you go to the United States, you should switch and start calling trousers pants and biscuits cookies, because those are the things that are going to promote clear communication and you won't be misunderstood. That's the whole purpose of language, is just getting
to be
point
understood.
across. Yeah. So there's not really a right way or right words. This is just one of those, you guys say things differently, we say things differently, and that's okay. I hate how Americans call autumn fall. No. Fall sounds fucking retarded. Sounds like a kid made it up. Actually, Ray, the Brits made it up. So, here's a little bit of history behind the word fall. And this, like the other fun facts I've been sharing, does come from Bill Bryson. I believe it was his book, The Mother Tongue. From what I've read, winter, summer, spring, and fall all have one thing in common, in that they are all Old English words. They're words that have their roots in Old English. Whereas the word autumn is actually a Middle English invention. And so if you're looking at which word is the longest standing and has the longest history and is true English, your word would be fall. The word fall comes from the Old English words fiel and fielen, which I know I'm completely saying those wrong. I don't speak Old English. If you can speak Old English, tell me how to pronounce those. So the word fall does come from British English, does come from the UK, and is your word. It's not an Americanism, it's a Britishism.
So it looks like the real effing child here is you, Ray, because you didn't know that, and you betrayed your own word.
Yeah.
You're like throwing the word under the bus, and it was like, surprise, I'm related to you.
It embarrasses you, but it's yours. It's your family, and there's no running away.
Also, we do use the word autumn in America.
Good point.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Very often. You're not gonna say autumn and someone's gonna be like, excuse me, what? I hate it when Americans say y'all after every word. We don't say y'all after every word. Y'all calm down. The word y'all is a very regional thing. That'd be like me saying, I hate how all Brits call me a wee sausage or duck. I don't actually hate it when they do that. That's just me taking a regional phrase and projecting it onto all Brits, which is obviously not correct.
The only times we ever say it is when we're pretending to be Southern.
I've had to learn when to use it and when not to use it. So when I say it, it's like, I learned how to do that.
You had to learn how to use it.
I did!
Yeah.
The word y'all did not enter my vocabulary until I was an adult. I don't know what all y'all are talking about, but here in America, we do not say y'all that often, okay, y'all? It's just not that common.
Settle down, I'll get you your sweet tea.
Thanks, y'all. I mean, just you.
Just
Duck.
you. Yeah, wee sausage. Don't call me wee sausage. Another thing, Chloe, why do you hate the word y'all? This is fun. Regional variations in language are a blast. That's one of our favorite things about traveling. Like when we go to the UK, I love learning about Scottish slang, Welsh slang, Northern Irish slang, Midland, Cockney rhyming slang, all the different variations in English that you guys have is incredible. And it's a very similar thing in the States, where when you go from city to city or from region to region, you're gonna be encountering those variations. And Chloe, if that's something that is inhibiting you from enjoying people's company and enjoying traveling, then you really need to grow up, because things like y'all are what make language fun. I hate this. These are awful.
These are all awful. These are all super petty. Are these like a bunch of teenagers submitted these?
Some super petty British people.
Y'all just being petty now.
Oh my god, I hate it when Americans try to do a British accent. No.
I feel like there needs to be a little bit of grace because when the tables are turned, there's never...
Yeah.
Like, Americans don't really get offended that often.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, actually, as Americans, we love getting British people and people from other countries to do American accents. I think we have asked literally every single one of our British friends to do an American accent before, right?
Yeah. So it's just not... I don't know. When the tables are turned, we don't take that as... Like, we would never say, oh my goodness, I hate it when British people do American accents.
It's just funny. We're all having a laugh. Mm-hmm. Question for you guys. This is something that Grace and I have talked about a lot, just amongst ourselves, is why are British people so sensitive when it comes to accents? Because, like she said, we get a huge laugh out of getting our friends that are from the UK to do American accents. We think it's great fun. But we have heard lots and lots and lots and lots, probably hundreds of commenters by now, say they hate it when Americans try to do a British accent. So I don't really understand that because from our perspective, accents aren't something to be sensitive about. Everyone has an accent.
It's not like they mean any harm. Yeah, the confusing thing is why? I really hate Americans who think all British people say, hello, governor. And also, we don't all drink tea and eat crumpets. Screw you all. You know, this tweet could have been that much shorter if she said y'all instead of you all. Screw you all. Screw y'all.
Lucas, come on, man, get on the y'all train. It's going somewhere. You may not all drink tea and eat crumpets, but we don't even have crumpets in America. So, you know, you're at least that much closer to everyone doing it than we are.
Also, that's not even a bad thing. I want to drink tea and eat crumpets all day.
Yeah, I'm sorry we think you're classy, Lucas. I'm sorry we think you're refined. Clearly, we were mistaken.
We will retract that. You probably eat dirt.
And gravel.
Because you're a cad.
You're a cad. Why do Americans always do their own version of our shows? It's not like we made a Friends UK. Hashtag idiots.
Oh, I love that. Hashtag idiots.
Oh.
This person was like, I got him real good. Hashtag idiots.
That does hurt. That does hurt.
The pain.
The pain is... No, it's fine. Actually, the UK has remade a lot of American shows, including The Golden Girls, that 70s shows, Maude, and so on. I haven't read about this topic, but just my thoughts on the issue are that I think the reason why both of our countries remake our shows is because of money. Frankly, British shows have a lot of cultural references, a lot of slang, and a lot of things like that most Americans won't understand. The humor is also very different. If you've seen The British Office and you've seen The American Office, the humor is very different. Sarcasm in the UK and the USA is different. They're speaking different languages when it comes to sarcasm.
Yeah, humor doesn't translate well.
No, it doesn't. So if an American network wants to put out a show that a lot of people will watch and enjoy, they have to remake the British show. Otherwise, it'll fall on its face. And the same thing goes the other way around. Like, there's a lot of things about American culture and a lot of puns and innuendos and jokes and political context and all that sort of things that the average British citizen won't get if they just translated the show over. I think this has a lot more to do with just networks trying to make money than with Americans being facetious and being like,
we're not gonna let anyone in as long as they're not speaking American English.
This is another one of those issues where we both do this thing. You're criticizing us for doing this thing, but you do it too.
I hate Americans.
Oh! just no context. Just bam!
Why the F do they call muffins biscuits? What is a British muffin?
I'm actually confused, yeah. I've never heard a British person say the word muffin.
I haven't either. If you are from the UK, what is a muffin?
When we say muffin, this is a muffin. And when we say biscuit, this is a biscuit. These two things. So
apparently we call British muffin a biscuit.
Our biscuit, this thing, must be a muffin.
What they call a muffin.
Do you guys call this a muffin? Let us know down in the comments.
I like how they started it up with something completely unrelated. I hate Americans. Why the F do you guys call this food that food?
If this is the worst thing Sean has against us, we're doing pretty well. Why do Americans in film and TV always sit on the bonnet of a car for a chat? I've never sat on a car. Starting to feel like I'm missing out. Well, first thing, Rob.
You're missing out.
Yeah.
You really are.
This is actually something that Americans do. You go out to eat, you drive there together, you drive back, maybe the conversation's hopping and you don't want to go back inside the house, and so you just sit on the hood or the
bonnet?
Boot. I guess you guys would call it the boot.
The boot's the back.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, the bonnet's the front.
So you'd sit on either the bonnet or the boot. I feel so Canadian when I say that. A boot. Sorry, Canadians, if you're watching, I love you guys. So this does happen a lot. You will see Americans frequently sitting on the boots or the bonnets of their cars and having a chat with friends. It's a warm evening, the summer wind is blowing across the cornfields. You just hop up there on your car and you and your friend put back a soda and you talk about life.
And you have a piece of grass in your mouth. And
you say y'all
a
a lot.
bunch, and your baby mama has like a, you know.
Just for the heck of it, you might shoot off a couple rounds into the air. You know?
By the way, you're barefoot too. Did we mention that? You're barefoot. And the baby mama's knitting an outfit for her first baby.
She's knitting a flag.
She's knitting an American flag. Why do Americans always think that British people are posh? We don't all talk like the Queen, you know. Emma did the you know thing. That's basically what we do with y'all. You know, why apostrophe, you know, why apostrophe all, y'all.
I'm actually gonna back Emma up on this one. Good point, Emma. A big misconception that a lot of Americans have about British people is that they're all posh. They all talk with an upper class accent. And that, I think, is partially the fault of the media that we consume in America. So, in America, we don't really watch movies or TV shows about just middle class, working class British life. Most of the stuff that we consume are Jane Austen dramas, Downton Abbey, all that sort of thing. Another reason, too, is that when you're not from a place, it's hard to distinguish the regional accents in that area. So for most Americans, when they encounter someone from England and that person speaks with their English accent, the American isn't able to be like, oh, you know, that's a Midlands accent, or that's from Cornwall, or that's London, that's East End, whatever. You know, they can't do that because it all sounds the same to them. Similar to how most Brits can't distinguish between accents in the United States. Now, the reason why I said English specifically is because most Americans can actually distinguish between English, Northern Irish, and Scottish accents. Welsh, I'm not too sure actually, because
I don't think I've heard a Welsh accent before.
Yeah, I've never met a Welsh person. Really hoping to change that next time we're in the UK. We are planning on visiting Wales, so we're gonna correct that very soon.
I think if you actually go to the UK, you will stop thinking that all British people are posh.
Very quickly. That misconception will be erased very quickly.
And be like, oh, these people want to punch me. If you want to hear the story about how we got threatened by some Soho cad, watch this video.
I hate it when Americans try to do an English accent. They sound stupid as f***. Hashtag cringe. Man,
I love
the hate is so hard here. I feel sad.
People say that Americans tend to express their opinions extremely, strongly, this is the right way, but I feel like a lot of these Brits are doing that.
Very American of you, Spencer, to throw out the word hate like that. And we've already talked about accents in response to previous ones. We're just gonna move on to the next one.
Why do Americans always use the red cups?
It's an American thing. You wouldn't get it.
The red cups are special.
It's actually a cult.
A cult thing, yeah. America is just a giant cult, and we've all agreed on using the red cups, so.
It's the solo cult, Cult Solo.
Cult Solo.
Yeah, whenever we greet a fellow American, we always say, may Solo be with you.
And also with you.
It's very serious.
Yeah,
Very serious
you wouldn't
business.
get it. You really wouldn't get it.
Yeah, you have to be an American to understand the red cups, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, moving on. I hate the way Americans say vitamins. No, shh, it's vitamins. First, language changes, Godzilla. Language changes from place to place. Secondly, Godzilla, I get that you're kind of anal about pronunciation, and you're like, ugh, there's a T in vitamins, so they should say
vitamins.
Vitamins. They should say the T. Why do Americans say D? I get that, and I respect your commitment to pronunciation and speaking words the way they're written. If you're gonna be consistent here, there's no Devonshire, it's Shire, okay? Get it together.
I hate how Americans call football soccer. Stupid fat bastards.
Oh, wow. That escalated really quickly.
I can tell you right now, he's neither stupid, nor fat, nor a bastard.
Aw, that's very sweet of you. I appreciate it.
You are smart, thin, and non-bastard.
And, you know, same. I'm starting to see a trend here where all these really vitriolic and angry tweets and, you know, all these things that you're saying that you hate about America.
It's a reflection of the madness within.
It's, yeah. The word soccer was actually coined in the 1800s in Oxford. I've also read that the words soccer and football were considered interchangeable and synonyms in the UK until about the 1970s and 80s, at which point the popularity of the word soccer in America led to a counter movement in British culture in which people started throwing soccer out as an Americanism, and now you guys have gone straight to football. Narrowed it down.
It sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, Robson, this is a you problem, man.
Like, now we can't sound like the Americans, God forbid.
What you guys did with soccer is kind of what Noah Webster did with the letter U, because while he was trying to drop useless letters, he was also trying to distinguish American English from British English. And that is what happened with soccer. It was becoming popular in the United States, and British people were like, you know what? We don't like it anymore because Americans like it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to be triggered by the word soccer and use that as an excuse to hate Americans, you can. But my dude, there's bigger fish to fry. There's real problems in the world.
Yeah, none of these were actually like things that I think would give you grounds to hate another country. Like, I would never take the reverse of these and be like, I hate the UK because they say football. I
do, but just being honest. Well, that was exhausting. Wow, we've made it through 21.
21 vitriolic British tweets.
There was a lot more anger and angst in there than I was expecting. I feel a bit weary in spirit. I'm really sorry that you guys hate a lot of these things about us. I hope you see at this point that a lot of these issues aren't really things to hate. We have way more in common than we have that divides us. And so we should unite on those points and be friends. But before we wrap this up, I'm gonna turn the conversation over to you and give you the opportunity to be vitriolic against Americans. We still got a little bit of energy left in us, so if there are things that you hate about Americans, be sure to leave those in the comments. And while you're at it, go and watch this video to see 10 things that we ourselves hate about America, and we can, you know, be simpatico. All these 21 reasons, these are child's play, these are nothing. If you want to hate people for legitimate reasons, watch this video.
Or maybe you should just not hate people.
That is a better answer. Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace.
We're the Wandering Ravens.
And we have a goal of hitting 10,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of our self-installation period here in France. So if you want to help us out with that goal, make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time we release a new video on British culture. We will see you guys next time. Bisous!